My name is Brian Tabben. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for Operations for Catholic Relief Services in the Southern Africa region. Now, in Catholic Relief Services, in our agency strategy called Vision 2030, we have included various climate actions, and we have been intentional in reducing our emissions in what we call the key polluters, being our offices, our air travel, and our fleet. And for some time now, we have been intentional in reducing the waste in our offices through reducing the use of paper, plastics, electricity, water. When it comes to air travel, we are more conscious now than before in when and where we travel to, and we have applied a so-called mission critical justification to approving air travel. We've also been helped by the global COVID-19 pandemic in reducing some of our air travel, which kind of left us with our fleet. What to do with our fleet and how to reduce emissions in our fleet, knowing that in the developed world, there is a transition happening to electric vehicles. So what we did in the Southern Africa region, we put together a working group made of enthusiasts for them to learn more about EVs and to identify facilities for operating these electric vehicles in Southern Africa countries. So this working group did desk research, interviewed active users of EVs, and scanned the markets as well, and eventually also connected with experts from CARE as a global supplier. And myself, together with a colleague, would then travel to Mozambique in November 2021 to conduct various test drives of the electric vehicle. And we reported back our experiences and our learning from those test drives to the regional work. Then early in 2022, we conducted a competitive market analysis in Mozambique and in Zambia for the EV market in particular, and then also invited representatives from CARE to do a live demonstration of a Nissan Leaf electric vehicle for a group of about 50 CRS colleagues in the Zambia office, including country program leadership and regional leadership. And that session was followed by a Q&A session. And eventually all those different steps led to convincing us to procure our agency's first ever electric vehicle. And I'm happy to share now that that first electric vehicle is arriving here in Lusaka in Zambia on June 20th. And we are currently preparing for a formal inauguration, which will be attended by CRS representatives as well as representatives from the Zambia Ministry of Environment and Transport, which is all very exciting. And we have been diligent in documenting all our learning, sharing that with colleagues in our headquarters as well as with other regional offices for them to feel supported and assisted in their reflections and discussions and eventually decision making into transitioning to a greener fleet and green mobility.
Great. And Brian, then so your journey from move to green, if you were to so to say list the single most important factor or motivation for you to get started.
Yeah, for various years, I think we've been pretty good at integrating climate-friendly approaches in our programming, but the challenge has often been to also incorporate that into our day-to-day operations. And when looking at our fleet, I do believe it was a matter of making visible where the actual emissions were generated. And doing that data crunching and making that visible and eventually realizing that our fleet contributes for about 15 to 25% of our regional footprint, that made us realize to more vigorously and progressively move towards a greener fleet and green mobility, and therewith contributing as well to our goal of becoming net zero
Yeah. So the tangible solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ending for other Fleetform members, if you as already now done the journey, if you could give your best 3 pieces of advice for other organizations that are about to start the move to green or have sincere wishes to do so. 3 best advices.
Yeah, great question. Well, I think it's relatively easy. I would say the first one is dream big and break that dream down into small pieces. What eventually helped us, we were dreaming big and considered a future whereby our regional fleet consisted of electric vehicles only. The big question then became, how are we going to get there? And that's the process that I just described. I think the second one, you don't necessarily need a subject matter expert on EVs to kickstart this journey. What has helped for us is to have 1 or 2, 3 subject matter enthusiasts to get together and to start collecting the expert advice, suggestions, recommendations, collect the learning. Now, it is important that those enthusiasts are movers and shakers and are able to influence internally as well. And then last, I would say, don't only rely on the data, but make this journey as visible as possible. And what we did, all those different steps, we had that accompanied by images, by videos, testimonies, and then eventually doing live demonstrations through webinars. So making that whole journey really visible and turning it into an experience for a large group of staff.
Yeah. Excellent. Sounds great. And also it reminds me of one of the other pioneers in the field also said that all it requires eventually is access to electricity and a bit of support on after sales.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank you too for the invitation and for the partnership.